Hi kids, changing out the antifreeze today. So here's what we need for this job. 2 big gallon jugs of this blue Honda type antifreeze. This stuff is Peak. It's the same stuff that you get from Honda, the Honda Type 2. It's blue. This is my drain bucket that I use for oil changes or whatever it is I gotta change. It'll work just as well for draining the radiator. To find the radiator drain plug, it's find the center, then it's kind of over here. Look for that brace, and it's right there. If you reach up in there, you'll find it. Let me show you. See that white thing? That's the drain plug. So now that we've found it, let's get our bucket in place. I got this on relatively level ground. Reach up there and unscrew it. Where'd it go? Got tight on mine. Ooh. That knob is proving to be really tight, meaning mine probably hasn't been opened in a long time. So I'm gonna try to use these needle nose and very carefully open this, remembering that righty-tighty, lefty-loosey is backwards when you're doing it this way, right? Okay, that felt like that. Yeah, that turned loose. I put my bucket back where it was. Go ahead and drain it. While that's draining, let's go ahead and pop out the radiator cap. Let it drain a little more. This is the only other tool you're gonna need. This is a 10mm wrench. So pop the cap off. Take the hose out, set that to the side, and take this 10mm bolt out. Don't lose that. Let's pull this reservoir out. Come on out of there. Make sure it's empty. Which it is. It's completely empty. This little tab goes in a little slot down there. Be sure and get that to hook you in. Otherwise, it's just hanging out there in the breeze. That's not it. Come on. All right, there it goes. Put the bolt back in. This bolt is plastic into plastic, so don't go crazy tightening it. You'll strip everything out. Just snug it up. It ain't going nowhere. Now I can get my handy dandy custom made funnel and refill the reservoir. I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up to the max. And there we are at the max. Didn't take much to fill that. Put the cap back on. Make sure this tube goes all the way to the bottom of your reservoir. If you don't have one, get one. This other hose just goes around and plugs in. Let me show you. Right at the top of your radiator cap. That's what makes it a reservoir. If you run low on fluid, your system's going to pull a vacuum since it's sealed, and it'll suck excess fluid out of this tank into your radiator to try and help keep it topped off. That's why you need to check this all the time and make sure you're not losing fluid out of your reservoir. If you're losing fluid out of your reservoir, it means you have a leak in your system somewhere. You need to get on top of that before you blow a head gasket or some other mega dramatic thing. Now that the reservoir is filled back up and the radiator has quit draining, time to put the plug back in the hole. Where's the hole? There's the hole. No jokes. Get your mind out of the gutter. Now we start filling the system back up. Let's get our handy Diet Coke funnel again. Fill this system up as high as we can till it won't hold no more. Woo, that's all she holds, folks. That's about half of that jug, so it's about a jug and a half, something like that. Next thing to do is put the cap back on, fire the system up, and bring it up to temp. Bringing the car up to temp involves turning your heat up as high as it'll go and wait for your temp gauge to come off of 0 and come up here somewhere. What we're doing is making sure our thermostat opens and all the air comes out of the system. We want to be sure we do this, otherwise we're gonna have a problem. So we've got the engine running and we've got the air conditioner off and the heat turned all the way up. And by the air conditioner off, I mean you've pushed the little button that turns your air conditioner compressor off. Now what we're doing is we're waiting for this fan to kick in. When the system gets to a certain temperature, that fan will kick on, and that'll let us know that our temp control switch is working and that it is submerged in coolant. So you may be wondering, how often should I replace my coolant? Well, you check your service manual, it'll tell you how often you should change it. I'm changing this one because I've had this car for a little over 2 years now and I've never changed it. And given the state of a lot of the maintenance that's been done on this car, who knows what the hell's in it. Most modern antifreezes are going to be just fine in your Honda Element, but getting the blue stuff is just kind of cheap insurance. Kind of like buying synthetic motor oil. I consider it to be a cheap way, really, of extending the life of my vehicle, especially when it's got close to 300,000 miles and who knows how well it was maintained in the past. Keep your old jugs, and when you're done, take that old antifreeze, put it in the jug, take it back to AutoZone, Advanced Auto, O'Reilly's, wherever you got your stuff from, see if they'll recycle this stuff. A lot of places will. Don't leave it sitting out because it's blue, it looks like Kool-Aid. The kids are gonna wanna drink it, the dogs are gonna wanna drink it. Hell, I wanna drink it. I gotta tell you, it is delicious, but it's really high in calories, so don't drink it. Now that my fan is kicked on and off a couple times, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the car down and let it completely cool down. Come back and check my fluid levels and see if I need to top it off. So let things cool down for about an hour. Check our level, that's still at the max. Let's check our radiator. That's still at the max. So now what we're gonna do is fire it up and do it again. I let it go through a few cycles of warming up, cooling down. Then I went and drove it around. A little bit low on here. I was at max and now I'm about that far below it on the reservoir. So let's pop the cap and see if we've got fluid everywhere I want fluid. Really didn't lose much on here. That's good, that's a good sign. As I was driving around, every time I stopped at a store or gas station or whatever, I stopped and looked under the car to make sure nothing's leaking. One of the things I am seeing that I don't like is all that moisture down there. I don't know what's causing that, so I'm gonna clean it up and see if it comes back. Got some brake cleaner I'm gonna blast in there. In this area of the motor, you've got a couple of different things that come together. Some of your fuel system, radiator hose. I don't know if that's something I dripped on the motor or if there's actually a leak going on, so cleaning this up will help us figure it out. That's really it for today, guys. We'll keep an eye on that spot and see if that oily mess comes back, and if it does, well, we'll have to track that down and figure it out. Till next time, this is Clint Searcy saying, you can do this, I promise.